Welcome back to Ghost Pirate Entertainment. I'm your host, Kanan Becker, and today we talk about the 10 best original or exclusive horror movies on Shudder. And let's get to the list! Deadstream is a 2022 found footage horror movie. Written and directed by Joseph and Vanessa Winter, it stars Joseph Winter and Melanie Stone. A disgraced internet personality tries to win back his followers by live streaming himself at an abandoned haunted house, but he accidentally unleashes a vengeful spirit.
For 7 years now, you have watched me face my fears for your entertainment. There is one fear that I haven't yet faced. I will be spending one night alone in a haunted house.
Man, this movie is so much fun. It was one of my absolute favorite movies, period, last year. Not just on Shudder, but really just in general. It's that good. And it feels original and unique. And for a found footage movie, that's not something we see that often anymore because it feels like it's just been done to death. There's just been so many found footage movies over the last 20 years or so. But this has a unique flair and feel about it because of the way it's done, because he's live streaming. And I know as someone who watches quite a bit of YouTube and live streamers and things like that, this really felt real to me on a different level. But it's also just really genuinely funny. It also goes way over the top at a point and even had some Evil Dead flavor to it as well. I think this is genuinely a movie that's going to go down as a cult classic and absolutely is worth your time.
No one's forcing you to stay, but I really hope you do because today is going to be a great day.
Speak No Evil is a 2022 psychological horror movie, directed by Christian Taftrop and written by Mads and Christian Taftrop. It stars Fedra Van Hewitt, Morten Burian, and Sidsel Siem Koch. A Danish family visits a Dutch family that they met on holiday, and what was supposed to be an idyllic weekend slowly starts unraveling as the Danes try to stay polite in the face of unpleasantness.
He's been cooking all day. He's making wild boar.
This is for you.
I'm a vegetarian.
I insist. I insist.
This movie just absolutely blew me away last year. This was the most uncomfortable, just anxiety-inducing, dread-filled, dramatic horror psychological movie I've seen in a long time. Because when this movie gets dark, it gets extremely dark and goes off the rails. There's very few people I know that have seen this and didn't walk away just feeling like it's gonna stick with them long after kind of thing. And it's not what I would call a fun movie by any means, but it's so well performed on every single level and really gets under your skin and sticks with you. So as far as dark, demented movies go, this is as good as we've seen in quite a while, and I highly recommend it.
I just want us to be people. It's not a gift, Izzy. Then why was it given? I'm not afraid of you, Izzy. You will be.
Hellbender is a 2021 horror movie, written, directed, and starring John Adams, Zelda Adams, and Toby Poser. The story follows a mother and daughter rock band living in an isolated woodland home whose relationship is challenged when the daughter encounters other teenagers.
Made a worm. Are your friends okay?
So this is a fun movie, but also pretty dark and twisted as well. It goes in some different directions than you're gonna really expect it to, but it's also an extremely artistic, beautifully put together film. Because it's done by the Addams family, who are a family of filmmakers. They do all these independent movies themselves, and they're really, really well done. This one, to this day, is still my favorite. I know they do have a new one that just came out, I believe. I haven't seen that one yet, but this one they did over the pandemic, and you would never tell because everything about it feels really well put together, well thought out, well planned, and well executed. It's gorgeously shot, and there's just a lot of style and creativity in the way that it's shot, in the set design. just the lighting, the mood, the acting, everything about it feels creative and fresh and fun. And so even though it's a small movie, it has teeth and it really goes for it at times. But I just think this movie is badass and one that I highly, highly recommend.
Trick or treat.
Anything for Jackson is a 2020 Canadian horror movie. Directed by Justin G. Dyke and written by Keith Cooper. It stars Sheila McCarthy, Julian Richings, and Constantina Mantelos. The story is about a couple who hatch a supernatural scheme to resurrect their dead grandson through abducting a pregnant woman.
My name is Audrey, and this is my husband, Henry. We don't want to hurt you or your baby. We feel this would be the best way for you to go missing.
I've been a big fan of this movie ever since it dropped on Shudder. I think it's criminally underrated, and I've been trying to tell people with this channel and in person, as many as I can anyway, to check this movie out because it's so entertaining. It's well shot, well directed. I really enjoy the story and creativity in the way that the story unfolds. Because the characters are so well written that you can't help but like them, while at the same time being like, they're doing these horrible, messed up things. But it also gets more and more twisted and dark as things go down this wild rabbit hole. There's surprises and twists and turns. It's just a lot of fun and one that way more people need to check out. So if you haven't seen this, I think you definitely need to add it to your list.
Se terminan rápido.
When Evil Lurks is a 2022 Argentine horror movie. Written and directed by Damian Rugna, it stars Ezekiel Rodriguez, Louis Zembrowski, and Emilia Vadovic. In a remote village, two brothers find a demon-infected man, about to give birth to evil itself. So they decide to get rid of the man, but merely succeed in helping him to deliver the inferno.
Estás asustando a mi familia.
Lo vi con mis propios ojos, estuve con él. Esto va a ser un infierno.
This is such a badass movie. This right now is right up there with one of my top picks of this entire year. It's really that good. I haven't decided yet, and I will in December, put out a video that says exactly my rankings, but this is definitely up towards the top. It's so dark and twisted and surprising. It's one of those films that if you haven't really seen an in-depth trailer, I'm gonna try to keep clips out of what I'm talking about in this, but there's some really surprising, just downright shocking moments in this that'll just get you. But it's well written and performed by this entire cast, and it slowly builds this dread and anxiety until it's just completely overwhelming. But this truly is a savage, super fucked up movie, but one that I highly, highly, highly recommend.
You can hear that bell.
What Josiah Saw is a 2021 horror movie. Directed by Vincent Grashaw, it stars Robert Patrick, Nick Stahl, and Kelly Garner. The story follows members of a damaged family before they reunite at a remote farmhouse, where they will confront long-buried secrets and sins of the past.
People save that property. I swear it's haunted. It's time to let the place go.
What about Paul?
An old bastard just wants revenge.
This is another really twisted movie, but it's twisted in kind of a different way. This is much more of a dialogue-driven, slow burn, drama kind of movie, but it also gets really dark and twisted and really dread-filled as well. But it's really surprising because it just kept me off kilter the whole time, and there's a lot of things I just did not expect to happen. Because this movie in general, it kind of takes you one way and then it flips, and it kind of always keeps you off kilter and never really knowing where you're at or what exactly is going on. But ultimately at the end, it all kind of snaps into place and all makes sense. But it's incredibly well performed by this cast. It's amazing that such a great movie just is in complete obscurity over on Shudder, and no one at all ever talks about it, and it's just mind-blowing to me. These movies that I'm talking about on this list, these are some of the best movies we've seen in recent memories, and yet you never hear about them because they're on Shudder, and a lot of the mainstream media just does not cover these films. They're independent, but they're amazing nonetheless and deserve much more attention than they get. But I think this movie is tremendous and absolutely worth your time.
He's already here.
The Dark and the Wicked is a 2020 supernatural horror movie. Written and directed by Brian Bertino, it stars Marin Ireland and Michael Abbott Jr. The story follows two siblings who are summoned back to their family farm to await the inevitable death of their father. But what initially appears to be a timeless ritual of loss and remembrance turns out to be something very different. So this is another hidden gem. I mean, you could basically say that about every movie on this list. These are movies that just not enough people talk about. But this is such a well put together movie. Just the pacing, it's very slow and prodding as it builds this drama and dread. But it keeps you in a constant state of uneasiness. You just feel like something like the other foot is about to drop at any point. There's one creepy scene after another with just really disturbing visuals and just bleak horror in general. But this is another one that is not what I would call a fun horror movie. This movie is dark and black and creepy, just like black ink all over you. But it'll definitely chill you to your bone. I think this is a phenomenal film and one you absolutely need to see. Color Out of Space is a 2019 sci-fi horror movie, directed by Richard Stanley and based on the short story of the same name by H.P. Lovecraft. It stars Nicolas Cage, Julie Richardson, and Madeline Arthur. After a meteorite lands in the front yard of their farm, Nathan Gardner and his family find themselves battling a mutant extraterrestrial organism that infects their minds and bodies, transforming their quiet rural life into a technicolor nightmare.
Then everything just blew up.
This one's a lot of fun because, yeah, it does get pretty dark and twisted and definitely has some horrific imagery, but it's also really vibrant and full of life and just twisted in a really entertaining kind of way. And Nicolas Cage, I think, does a great job in it. He doesn't quite go as far over the top as he does in a lot of his other movies. He does have a couple scenes in this, though, where he does kind of lose his shit a bit. But for the most part, I like the character that he plays in this. But if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you know that cosmic horror is right up there with my absolute favorite subgenre. And so, of course, this movie is one I have to talk about. Because we just don't get enough of them. And especially ones that are done well with a decent budget, and this is one of them. It's well shot, well paced, well directed. It's got some surprises and some gruesome body horror elements. It really has all of the things that I love in a cosmic horror movie. So if this is one you've yet to see, I think it absolutely is a must watch.
No tiene que tener sangre en las manos, no en este lugar. A estos seres les gusta la sangre.
Terrified is a 2017 Argentine horror movie, written and directed by Demian Rugna. It stars George Lewis, Max Milano-Gioni, and Natalia Cinerales. The plot follows paranormal researchers who investigate strange events in a neighborhood in Buenos Aires.
Vamos a dividirnos en cada una de las casas donde creemos que ocurren los fenómenos paranormales.
So right now, Demian Rugna is 2 for 2. His last two films have just been incredible. And I think he's one of the best horror filmmakers out there, period. I mean, I put him up there with anybody else. Like, the last 2 movies he has made have just been so dark and creative, because that's the thing that really sets him apart for me, is the uniqueness of them. Because there's a lot of dark and twisted and uncomfortable horror movies out there that are done really, really well, but very few that are as unique and original feeling as his. Because this one and When Evil Lurks, they both have this really unique kind of concept, and it's tough to get into without spoiling either of these, but it's hard. It honestly is a toss-up on which one of these two I like better. Because When Evil Lurks and Terrified are both just so dark and uncomfortable, and they also do a great job of building characters that you really care about. And so when things happen to them, or to the people that they care about, you feel it that much more. But just the way he surprises you, the way he builds anticipation and the disturbing quality. Like, he doesn't just have to throw cheap jump scares to get you. He builds dread and like I said, just these terrifying situations that he puts his characters in. And the visuals are just stunning in both these movies. This one and When Evil Lurks both get so dark and uncomfortable with images that are just gonna stick, like burn themselves into your mind. But I swear to you, this is one of the darkest, most scary horror movies you'll see. And if it wasn't for the fact that it's Spanish language, I think you would hear it talked about even more. But if you can do subtitles, I highly recommend this one.
I'm really looking forward to our time here together.
A Wounded Fawn is a 2022 psychological horror movie. Directed by Travis Stevens and written by Stevens and Nathan Foundry. It stars Sarah Lind, Josh Rubin, and Millen Barr. A serial killer brings an unsuspecting victim on a weekend getaway to add another body to his ever-growing count, until things take a wild and unexpected turn.
To art and beauty.
And the night ahead.
So this is a beautifully shot, very artistic, creative film. It's definitely a slow burn, so this won't be for everyone at all. But I think if you enjoy the artsy kind of films, the ones that take their time getting there but have a nice payoff, then this is one that's definitely worth you checking out. Because everything from the score to the way it's shot, the lighting, the color choices, it's just beautiful. It looks like a work of art, like a painting. It's just that cool looking. But it gets experimental at times, especially at the end, and I know that's not for everyone, but I love art. I was an artist, a visual medium, modern artist for a long time, and so I can't help myself but really appreciate those kind of things in film. But there's also a really cool story here that takes a lot of twists and turns with some well done acting and creative situations. It's just got a real fun way of going about it. But I think if you're patient and stick with this one, it's definitely worth your time. So do yourself a favor this weekend, pick one of the movies off of this list, grab your popcorn and your candy, and enjoy! Alright guys, that's going to do it for me today. Thank you so much for checking this out. And if you enjoyed this, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and ding that little bell, because that is the best way to keep track of this channel. And when I post videos like this, and I post videos like this every single week, I also want to give a massive, huge, enormous thank you to the Ghost Pirate crew, to you guys over on Patreon, and to the channel members over here. You guys mean so much to me. And if you would like to help support this channel over on Patreon, there's a link down in the description. Or if you want to become a channel member over here, there's a button right down there that says join. But like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button. And remember guys, horror can be fun! And if you enjoyed this, click right here to watch me talk about the 10 scariest horror movies of 2023. And I'll see you guys next time!